We have the box office top 10 here, but we're going to start at umpty 733.
Okay.
If that's okay. We have an email from Phil Goldfinch, high school recycling champion.
Okay.
Dear Kermode and Mayo, Australian colonial commoner living in Minnesota. All of those things work on the page, but obviously not when spoken out loud.
Yes.
Medium-term list and multiple emergency mailer once read by S. Fawnjeeve to Mark on your last iteration and Vanguard Easter. Again, no. As Mark has referenced to 7 placing a number in the movie's title, I felt compelled to correspond.
Yes.
The key point many of these cleaver marketers, it says here, are trying to do is to aim to replace a letter that looks like the number. This is called munging. Did you know that?
No.
Munging. Originally a way to create stronger passwords by replacing letters that look like numbers.
Yes, okay.
So the 7 into 7 replaces a V, which could be a 7 rotated. The number 4 is commonly used as the letter A, as seen in
Fantastic.
Yeah. Other movies to have munged. The 13 Ghosts, Simone with a 1 and an O, Layer Cake, L Foyer, CAC 3, and M. Thregan. Anyway, there are movies where the number from the movie's title is moved around. Examples: Scream for Scream 4, TAC 3N for Taken 3, Expendables. And yes, Fantastic is technically Fantastic Four, the first of its incarnation, but coincidentally the 4th Fantastic Four cinematic movie.
Yeah.
Now, the film Soulmate with M8 at the end is different, as I believe that might just be a homophone.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing out the difference.
Munging.
Last week, Mark tried to remember the attempted sequel to S7 was to be spelt EIG8T. After a little digging, I found that it actually was EI8HT, where the 8 replaces the G.
Okay.
I mean, doesn't make any difference to the way you're going to say it.
No.
Anyway, up with the good stuff and down with the bad. Anyway, so munging is what we're talking about.
Wow. Yes. Can I just say, if anyone's thinking of just stop doing it. Just stop.
Because it's also not very flexible. It also, for podcast purposes and sound broadcasters everywhere, it just is a nightmare, as I think we've just proven.
Yes.
Number 1219, Maria. There's an email here from Rosa Blue Handmade. So this is via our YouTube channel.
Right.
5 million views a month and counting. Thank you very much for watching.
Excellent.
So Rosa Blue Handmade says, this film is no more lumpen fare than the other were ethereal masterpieces. I imagine Rosa Blue Handmade is talking about the films of Pablo Larraín. Anyway.
Larraín, yeah.
Maria was tender, engaging, and moving in equal parts if you were prepared to meet it halfway across its lyrical imagined landscape. Shorter version, most Brits will like this less.
Yes, I disagree completely. I thought it was lumpen and boring.
Conclave is at 10,
which we all love, and I watched it again actually, and second time round, it's every bit as exciting.
Gladiator 2 at 9.
Sharks in the Colosseum. Space
That's
monkeys.
At number 11 in America. Paddington in Peru is not in the American chart, but it's number 8 in our chart.
Yeah, weakest of the Paddington movies, but I've said this every week. Weakest of the Paddington movies, but it's still a pretty high bar, and it needs more Sanjeev. So when we have the next Paddington movie, can it be Paddington and Sanjeev go somewhere?
Yes, I think that would be a very good idea. Better Man is at number 7. It's number 12 in America. Dear M&S or S&M, depending on your sandwich choice, says Adam Stevens, actor, voiceover artist.
Okay.
Love the show, Steve. However, I felt I had to pull Mark up on the fact that he has repeatedly said that Robbie Williams in the film Better Man is played by a CGI monkey. Although this is technically true, it is not entirely accurate. The work of Robbie Williams' movement was reproduced with motion capture by the actor John O'Davis, who performed the role brilliantly and has earned many plaudits for his work.
Yes.
Carry on with your excellent work. Happy New Year, every week, forever. And hello to Jason.
Yes, no, absolutely. Credit where it's due. It's the central point still. But yes, thank you for pointing that out.
So you were both true, but not as true as Adam would wish you to be true.
Yes, and I absolutely stand corrected.
Number 6 is A Real Pain. Lynn Campbell says, I saw A Real Pain just before listening to your podcast interview and reviews of the film. I really appreciated hearing more about the film as I hadn't heard anything about it until the morning of the day I watched it. I woke up, saw a Friends magazine review referenced on social media, read that and went out immediately to the next showing. My day off turned out really well as I enjoyed the film immensely. Kieran Culkin's Benji was a real pain and the performance was a revelation. I left the cinema wanting to give his character a hug as he sat alone yet surrounded in the crowded airport lounge, which is both the beginning and the end of the film.
It is.
The film was a brave move in today's political environment and a total triumph of humanity and understanding in storytelling. The beauty and complex history of Poland was well showcased, and there were genuine laughs to be had, as well as genuinely difficult questions that are broached. An unexpected and much enjoyed film. Loved its underrated beauty, warmth, and weight. Thank you, Lynn. An unexpected film is absolutely right. A Real Pain at number 6.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it very much. There's been quite a lot of discussion about Kieran Culkin in the supporting actor category, and somebody said, "Well, that's just ridiculous because he's not the supporting." But of course, this is one of the things about the way awards ceremonies work, is that you put somebody forward for lead and somebody forward for supporting, and quite often the supporting actor category is won by somebody who is demonstrably a lead but has been categorized as supporting actor. I mean, I think you could argue that that he is the lead and there is another supporting actor, but awards, schmods.
Well, exactly. And as you have mentioned many times, so when Demi Moore won for The Substance, and she was very moved and she said she hadn't won anything ever, it was in the category Best Comedy or Musical. So now, I, as you know, have only watched the first 2/3. So unless it gets hilarious and they sing songs in the final 20 minutes, I'm thinking that's the most ridiculous category
The
ever.
weird thing is, there is a kind of truth in what you've just said, sort of, blood-splattered music. The end sequence reminded me of the end of Brain Dead, the Peter Jackson movie, which was famous for a long time for having used more on-set blood than any film up until that point.
TJ Yeager from nearby Trinidad, California. Jesse Eisenberg famously does not have a television, does not go to theatres and watches movies on his phone. So yes, indeed, he had not previously seen Kieran acting and did not know him. This is a reference to the interview last week. I have amused my Leamington Spa residing son with your recommendations and, of course, Simon's Laughter Lift. Right. From a many years fan that lives remotely enough not to even have a movie theatre. Anyway, yes, so Jesse Eisenberg, incredibly, it does appear, cast Kieran Culkin on the advice of his sister, and that's it.
Yeah.
So see previous week's show for details. Baby Girl is at number 5.
Yes, well, we were talking about it last week. I said one of the things about it is it bothers me that people sort of snicker at anything like this anyway. And I did throw forward to the fact that this week we have a reimagining of Emmanuel, which was kind of like the classic female sexual quest story. I thought that although Baby Girl doesn't entirely work, it was at least a serious attempt to address to address the issue. Do we have an email?
We do. Lily says, hello to my favourite podcast hosts, long-time listener, first-time correspondent. This autumn-winter, I've watched The Substance, Baby Girl, Night Pitch, and The Last Showgirl, and I've had the time of my life.
Great.
I think we might be experiencing a cinema revolution where middle-aged women's stories are being told in a way that I've never quite seen before. It's quite a long email, but sure. The Substance is this one. As a woman in her 20s, I always had this looming sense that I had a time limit on putting art out into the world. I felt that people would only be interested in what I had to say if I was young. And as I became a middle-aged woman, I would become invisible in every sense of the word. This cinema season of what I'm calling the autumn of unhinged middle-aged women, and I mean unhinged in a positive raw,
way,
free and wild kind of way.
Excellent.
Has been such a privilege to witness, and I'm convinced there is a cohort of aspiring female filmmakers who will watch The Substance and grow up and make some of the best body horrors we've ever seen. Okay. Writers and directors like Coralie Farage and Helena Rain?
Helena Rain, yes.
Helena Rain have made me feel excited to get older and to make art that gets better, freakier, and more challenging. I've loved your reviews of these films mentioned, and here's to middle-aged women letting their freak flag fly.
Great. That is a brilliant email, and I am really, really glad that you sent it because I agree with all the points that you made, and I do think that some of the sniffiness that greeted Baby Girl was just because we have a cultural issue with any film which deals with the idea of the complexity of sexuality and the complexity of power relations, and specifically S&M and the way in which who is authoring any situation. But what a great email, and how brilliant that's the world that you find yourself in at the moment with everything else that's going on across the Atlantic. That's terrific. Thank you so much for that email.
She also says there's lots in this email that's interesting, but she says, when I speak to older women about what life is like for them, they describe a simultaneous freedom and fear in their invisibility.
Right.
Suddenly they're relieved from the burden of youth, which is so deeply intertwined with perceptions of beauty. And all these films have a similar theme of women responding to invisibility and so on. So anyway, Lily, thank you very much.
We had movie night here at Shea Kermode on Saturday night, and we watched as a double bill Chuck Chuck Baby and Night Bitch, and it was fabulous.
You should sell tickets to that. We'll all come. Number 4 is We Live in Time,
which I think is an interesting film. I mean, certainly if you're talking about a time-shifted narrative and you compare this to the nonsense of the Robert Zemeckis film, this is absolutely Citizen Kane.
Number 3 here, and in America, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So all the threes lined up there with Sonic.
I mean, this is why Jim Carrey came back, as he said. I'll only come back if there's the script that's really of a story that really, really needs to be told, and people are really going to get something out. There we go, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 at number 3.
Number 2 is Nosferatu. Leighton says, Dear Clarence and Oddbody, can I please ask a favour? My wife, daughter and I have each created a bingo card of things to achieve during 2025. Bin goals, I'm calling them. The first person to complete their bingo card gets a prize yet to be determined, ranging from my daughter's preference of £200 to my own preference of a sense of well-being. Classic parenting there, Leighton. One of my challenges is to have an email read out on your podcast. So even if you've read this far, that's enough. But if it needs to be movie related, I went to see Nosferatu and agreed with the correspondence that the acting was a bit theatrical. So my review would be titled Hammy House of Horrors. Thank you very much for consideration. Leighton, you can cross something off on your bingo card and you're one step closer to a sense of well-being. Anyway, the number 1 film is, unless you wanted to add something to Nosferatu.
I just wanted to say that the person who made the Nosferatu Nos joke was apparently on social media, on the platform that neither of us are on anymore, mentioning that we mentioned the Nosferatu Nos gag. Because you said that you had got it from somewhere.
That's right. And they were also on Blue Sky, and I found it, and I've reposted that.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Well done. Brilliant.
And the number 1 movie here and in America is Mufasa, the Lion King.
Okay. I mean, I like Barry Jenkins very much. I think that there are certain things that are interesting about Mufasa, the Lion King, but I think in the end it is a disappointment because, well, certainly in comparison with the original Lion King, I think that what he did was he put as much moonlight and the stuff that we like in there. I still think it feels a little soulless and a little empty, but it's hey,